If you want to be more efficient and effective while running your business with more inner peace than working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a band-aid is vital. Welcome to the Business Brain Podcast.
I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve.
When Dean came to me, he didn't even tell me his emotional regulation challenges. He spoke about procrastinating, lack of time management, having a hard time making decisions, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But then about 3 weeks into the Optimize Your ADHD Brain cohort, Dean shared with me how he's seeing a massive improvement in how he's responding to his children. While he loves his children, they were often doing wild activities which would make him angry and cause him to yell at his children. Over the weekend, his children were playing with the neighbors and did some crazy things that Dean did not approve of. He noticed, though, that instead of yelling at them, he was able to take a moment to collect himself and approach the situation in a calm, healthy, and a lot more beneficial manner. As the program progressed, he kept on sharing his improvements in his emotional regulations while becoming more productive, getting more done in less time, and planning ahead. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you, you do not have to struggle forever. In this episode 472 of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, your weak thinking skills are costing you money. How much, you ask? I'll tell you exactly how much. Head over to lifefixuniversity.com/calculator, and in less than 3 minutes, you'll see exactly what your weak thinking skills are costing you. That's lifefixuniversity.com/calculator. While you are doing any task, you, without even realizing it, are using your 28 thinking skills. When the thinking skills you need to use are strong, doing the task happens easily. The thinking skills you need to use are weak, doing the task will be a challenge. The struggle that Dean had came from the weak thinking skills of stopping and thinking, categorizations, and labeling. Emotions and cognition are two sides of the same coin. When a person has a trauma, often they find it hard to think clearly, get brain fog, etc. It works the other way too. When you improve your thinking skills, emotional regulations improve. When you improve your emotional regulation skills, your thinking skills improve. So while we were working on Dean's thinking skills, his emotional regulation automatically improved. I'm going to share with you how he improved each of these 3 thinking skills and how it ended up helping his emotional regulation. So thinking skill number 1, stopping and thinking. This thinking skill is just what it sounds like, stopping and thinking before taking action. The opposite of this thinking skill is impulsivity. So to get better at stopping and thinking, Dean simply became more aware of it. We put reminders everywhere. During the session, if I would catch him working too fast and making mistakes, I would remind him to go slow. He also told his family members and employees to remind him that if he's going fast and it's causing trouble to the situation, to remind him to take a moment to stop and think. So by simply being aware of it, his stopping and thinking became better. I don't think you need me to tell you how stopping and thinking is directly related to reducing and yelling. By training his brain to slow down in other areas, when it came to seeing his children acting really wild, his brain was able to stop and think before yelling. Thinking skill number 2, categorizations. Part of being able to categorize is being able to zoom in and zoom out. Zoom into the little details, the small little categories, or zoom out and see the big picture. To get better at categorizing, we started using the terms zoom in and zoom out a lot. I'm zooming in on the specific email and I'm zooming out on the entire client's campaign. I'm zooming in the details of the contract. I'm zooming out to see how this affects the whole business. This helped Dean while dealing with his children greatly. Now he was no longer seeing this specific incident where they were acting wild. By zooming out, he could see that in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't really matter. Yet he can zoom in and see how specific reactions can affect his child in the long term. Thinking skill number 3, labeling. Labeling is about calling items, ideas, concepts, etc. by their right name. We improve this by taking 5 minutes a day to walk around the house and labels the item around him. Give them their labels instead of calling them vague words. So instead of saying it, that, there, labeling what is it, the book, what is there, the top shelf, etc. This helped a great deal in his communication with himself and with his children. First, he was able to give words to his feelings and emotions. Second, when talking to his children, they now understood him better. He could see why what they were doing was dangerous, follow instructions, and even be able to express their own thoughts more clearly. Remember, we did not work on emotional regulation. By improving his thinking skills, automatically his emotional regulation improved. Each one of these thinking skills were practiced in a calm environment, not specifically during times of high emotions. This way, by the time he was put in a challenging situation, he already had a lot of practice, and now it was much easier. Your challenge this week is to pick a thinking skill to work on and see if it affects the emotional side of the coin. If you'd like to learn more about reducing impulsivity, see episode 431. If you'd like to learn more about categorizations, see episode 467. And if you'd like to learn more about labeling, see episode 459. Pick a thinking skill, work on it, and watch how it affects your emotional side of things. That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your business friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Cheers to peak brain performance.